Hey kids, Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. Now, I'm out about on an absolutely beautiful summer's day on the big old Yamaha FJR1300 AE. I've been riding the bike all day, I've had an absolute ball with it. It's been a beautiful bike to ride. And a few things have come to mind that I've learnt about the bike that I thought I'd share with you. So if you're interested in the big old sport tourer FJR1300 AE, stick around and stay tuned, because in this video I'm going to tell you the top 5 things you need to know about the FJR1300. Okay, so these top 5 things you need to know aren't in any particular order. They're just things that have struck me that I didn't necessarily know about the bike before. I may have had a hint in 1 or 2 cases, but having ridden the bike all day and got to know it a bit, they've definitely come to the fore. So the first thing you need to know is, even though this bike is a big heavy sport touring bike, my goodness me, that engine is a peach. It is super powerful. Now, in terms of horsepower, it puts out something like 142 brake horsepower, which is a lot. I mean, there's no doubt that's a big number. Actually, it puts out 144 brake horsepower, so you know, that's a lot of horsepower in anybody's language, I think. But allied to that, 138 newton meters of torque. So a big old engine that just pulls and pulls like a train. So what that translates to is you can ride the bike 1 of 2 ways. You can ride it really lazy, because there's all that torque to pull you along and it doesn't complain, or you can ride it like a sports bike. It absolutely flies, this bike. It is a weapon. In fact, of all the sports tourers that I've ridden, at least, this one is definitely the fastest feeling, and more sporty than touring, without a doubt. If you're coming from a sports bike and you fancy a bike to do big miles on, definitely consider the FJR1300. Oh, stay at this road here, horrible. Because if you want it to, this bike absolutely flies. Beautiful creamy 4-cylinder engine, smooth as you like, pulls like a train, brilliant. What I could really do with is overtaking this truck in front of me. Always traffic holding up progress if you're riding the southeast, spoils all your fun. Anyway, let's not get too whingy. How's it looking? It's all clear, nothing behind. This is my chance. Up we go. This bike pulls like a rocket. Woo! I love it. Alright, let's not go too mad. Next thing you need to know then about the big old FJR1300 is actually that she's pretty heavy. Something like 292 kilograms is her weight, fully wet. So that puts her, in fact, that makes her heavier than something like a fully laden BMW GS Adventure. But like all these big heavy bikes, once you're moving you don't feel the weight. And the other thing that surprised me about this one is, even when you're moving her around on the tarmac on your driveway or whatever, it doesn't feel particularly heavy either. Or when you stop at traffic lights in a junction, she doesn't feel particularly heavy then either. So it must carry its weight quite low down. But unlike the competition in the shape of the BMWs, and I'm thinking the RT and the GS, this bike isn't quite as agile. You do have to manhandle it around a little bit, but that's fun. I like it. It's a properly old school bike. You do have to muscle it around the corners a little bit, but by heck, it's got plenty of muscle in return. It's brilliant. Okay, so the next thing you should know about the bike, and this is one that you could probably have guessed, even on roads like this, which is super bumpy, potholed, rutted, all over the place. You can probably tell by the shaky picture. But this bike really is super comfortable. It's got a massive padded seat on here. Riding position is beautifully comfortable. You're sat completely upright. Your legs are quite sporty, tucked up at an acute angle. I quite like that. And it is all-day ride comfortable, this. You can knock off hundreds of miles a day, thousands even, and you do it in comfort on this machine. I've not come across a more comfortable touring bike than this, except maybe the Honda Goldwing, but that bike is twice the price of one of these. So yeah, the FJR1300 AE, do not worry about its comfort, it is super comfortable. Okay, to the next thing you need to know about the bike, and you know this already because you've seen pictures, but I think, and beauty is in the eye of the beholder and all that, but I think the FJR is just beautiful to look at. To my mind, it looks like what a sports touring bike should look like. I just think the engineering is beautiful. I love the stainless steel exhaust pipes, I love the shaft drive, I love the big fairings on it, I love the way the engine is all enclosed. It just looks like a sports touring bike should look in my mind. So yeah, she's a thing of beauty. Okay, that brings me to the last thing that I wanted to point out as one of the things that you should really know about the bike if you're considering buying one of these. And that is that I describe her as really old school. And by that what I mean is, although I've just said the bike is beautiful, she has been around in this form for a while. She hasn't changed her looks much for the last 10 years, that doesn't bother me, but that makes her old school. Things like these clocks down here, that makes her old school. It's got an analog rev counter, it's got an LCD speedometer, and it's got like a status screen on the right. But you haven't got any fancy TFTs here. It's old school, I quite like it, but it's not up there with the best for sure in terms of the display is concerned. And then the way she handles, as I mentioned before, you have to manhandle her around. It's got relatively narrow handlebars on here compared to things like the GS and the RT, which it competes with. And that means when you come to corner aggressively or ride her aggressively, you do have to give it some muscle to get it around the corners, but that's part of the joy of riding it. I love that. So yeah, that's the last thing you need to know about the bike. She's old school. I like that, I'm old school too. So to summarise then this video, the top things you need to know about the bike, I think the most important thing to know is the FJR1300, in my opinion, is one of the best, if not the best, sports tourers you can currently buy. She may be long in the tooth, she has been updated, she has got modern day electronics, but it still rides absolutely fantastically. The engine is a peach. I think of all the sports tourers I've ridden, and I've ridden a few now, this is in the top two. This and the RT, I'd have a very difficult time choosing between the two. I think this one's got it by a nose, to be honest. Puts a smile on my face, and that's the best thing you can say about a motorbike, isn't it? So there we have it, that's it for this time. Hope you enjoyed that video. Look forward to speaking to you again soon. Until then, this has been the Mist and Fly. Cheerio.